Welcome to the Structured Approach channel. Today continuing with the third video in the series on the introduction in enterprise architecture. The series consists of 4 videos answering the following questions. 1. What is an architecture? 2. What is an enterprise architecture? 3. Which benefits are provided by an enterprise architecture? And 4. Which benefits are provided by enterprise architecture frameworks? The series is for all of you being somehow in touch with the topic of enterprise architecture. So you might be an executive or a decision maker and aim to understand a concept being super relevant to many companies and organizations, or you might be an architect already knowing about the related concepts but looking for conclusive and consistent suggestions on how to answer the questions mentioned before. So without any further ado, let's get started with today's topic. What are the benefits of an enterprise architecture? Based on the definition of enterprise architecture and enterprise architecture, it can be assumed that appropriate application of those concepts provide added value to the whole organization, to the complete enterprise. It is recommended to establish a common understanding on the goals behind the application of the concept of enterprise architecture before discussing the benefits and added values. Most companies, with the exception of some specialized consulting companies, do not apply enterprise architecture as a business on itself, but as a tool set to achieve business goals. Consequently, enterprise architecture needs to provide added value, which enables the organization to achieve its goals more efficiently. More efficiently means 1. The added value shall outweigh the required enterprise architecture efforts, and 2. The degree of the organization's goal achievement, e.g. growth, profit, and so on, in a defined period of time, shall be measurable and higher as it would have been without the application of enterprise architecture. Since enterprise architecture is more often than not no business case on its own, its added value shall be visible to the stakeholders of the organization, which are directly providing value to the organization's business model. This applies as well to the daily business stakeholders as well to the management level stakeholders. This is why the following guidance shall be considered. 1. Enterprise architecture supports communication to all stakeholders by providing common syntax, language, and methodology. 2. Enterprise architecture supports common structured planning to all stakeholders. This concept is related to the support of communication, since most human beings have an individual understanding on structure. Enterprise architecture supports the shift from this individual understanding to a common understanding. And 3. Enterprise architecture supports long-term usability and reuse of the achieved results. Considering this guidance leads to an understanding that added value and benefits can be considered as those only if they are recognized within an organization or an enterprise. The visibility of benefits and added value is also one of the most decisive success factors for enterprise architecture within an organization. Without added value, no acceptance, and without acceptance, even the best concept, the best methodology, has a hard time to be recognized as beneficial. Consequently, practice has shown that benefits of enterprise architecture shall be clearly pointed out, shall be defined in a way that they can be measured, and shall be recognized as decisive success factors by all stakeholders. Strong benefits, which are also good practice and decisive success factors, can be 1. More efficient business processes, 2. More efficient IT processes, 3. Protection of investments, existing as well as future investments, and 4. More efficient procurement processes. The reason why the success factors discussed before have been established is that they do not focus on one group of stakeholders only, but can be visible as added value by many stakeholders. Also, regarding a concrete context, they can be generalized as well as specified in more detail. This is important since the success of enterprise architecture depends on the identification of all stakeholders with related goals and results. Enterprise architecture should be accepted as real benefit and not as a scientific end in itself. Literature on enterprise architecture in general and TOGAF specifically supports this concept by recommending a discussion on some of the important and relevant added values. In its paragraph on a more efficient business operation, TOGAF points out the following benefits and success factors of enterprise architecture. Lower business operation costs, meaning lower costs in the implementation of business processes. Key is the enormous benefit of adequately documented business processes. An enterprise architecture which enables an understandable documentation of business processes, including process demarcation and interfaces, is a source for a common understanding regarding those processes for all stakeholders in the enterprise. More often than not, it enables the identification of potential for optimization regarding the business operation. More agile organization and business capabilities shared across the organization. Similar to the discussion on the common understanding on business processes, it is key for an organization to use existing capabilities optimally. This applies specifically to the capability to reuse existing competence without the need to reinvent in other units of the organization. Lower change management costs, more flexible workforce, as well as improved business productivity. Also, for those topics, an appropriate documentation of business processes is key to achieve the added values discussed before. An adequate mapping of business processes within an enterprise architecture enables the identification of how change might affect the processes. This supports not only the effective implementation of change if required, but prevents also unpleasant surprise by unknown inner relationship between the business processes. By knowing the business processes, members of an organization can identify synergies and prevent undesirable side effects. Appropriate and adequate documentation and communication of an enterprise architecture enable increased productivity, which is the best justification for all the efforts in creation, maintenance, and communication of the enterprise architecture. In its paragraph on a more efficient IT operation, TOGAF references the added value of enterprise architecture regarding IT processes. The following benefits are discussed: increased portability of applications, improved interoperability and easier system and network management, improved ability to address critical enterprise-wide issues like security, and easier upgrade and exchange of system components. Key benefits for IT operations are: 1. The reusability and portability of IT applications without the limitations caused due to procurement restrictions. 2. A better interoperability between IT systems and a more effective network management. Interoperability relates especially to compatible system interfaces and the capability of loss-free data exchange. 3. An additional benefit discussed by TOGAF is the capability to address sensitive areas and incidents, e.g. IT and cybersecurity incidents, within the enterprise more effectively. And 4. The capability to update or change system components. This can be achieved by the proactive documentation of inner relationships and dependencies with an enterprise architecture, which enables risk detection, prevention, and minimization before system changes or upgrades. Discussing better return on existing investments and reduced risk for future investments, the following benefit is given by TOGAF. Reduced complexity in the business and IT. This is somewhat misleading, since enterprise architecture cannot reduce the complexity of things. However, what enterprise architecture can do is the transparent and appropriate documentation of the complexity of business and IT. This leads to better decisions for investment, e.g. the procurement of IT, as the decisions would have been without enterprise architecture. This results in the achievement of a maximized return on investment regarding the existing business and IT infrastructure. An enterprise architecture focusing on the dependencies between processes and IT on the one hand side, and the enterprise core processes and the supporting processes on the other hand side, can support proper decisions on development, procurement, or outsourcing of business and IT services. It also can show the effects on the enterprise. It should be understood that an enterprise architecture provides those aims not by its own. It needs to be specified regarding the focus and the goals and should be seen by all stakeholders as an important tool in achieving those goals. Based on an appropriate understanding and application of enterprise architecture, it can support the reduction of risk on investments and therefore support the reduction of operational costs. There is a close relationship between business and IT processes, added value regarding existing and future investments, and the added values regarding the procurement processes and procurement organization in an enterprise. In particular, those added values can be identified as enablers for short-term optimization. Also, those added values can be measured directly. According to TOGAF, procurement decisions will be easier and more effective since all required information is appropriately collected and visualized for all shareholders by a common methodology. The simplification of the decision-making process leads to faster procurement. As far as the procurement processes follow the guidance and principles designed in the enterprise architecture, new systems and services integrate seamlessly into the existing environment and will not be regarded as isolated silos harming the existing processes and systems. Appropriate documentation with a focus on services but systems enables an enterprise to apply its procurement processes to a heterogeneous system and service environment as provided by various vendors. Applying the benefits of enterprise architecture to procurement processes does also lead to significant cost decrease and contributes to the overall economic success of the enterprise. Summarizing the video, a discussion was provided on the added values and benefits by appropriately and result-oriented application of enterprise architecture within an organization. It was recommended to enable a common understanding of the concept of enterprise architecture and to identify the benefits which shall be achieved. The following principles were provided. 1. Enterprise architecture supports communication for all stakeholders by providing common syntax, language, and methodology. 2. Enterprise architecture supports common structured planning for all stakeholders. This concept is related to the support of communication, since most human beings have an individual understanding on structure. Enterprise architecture supports the shift from the individual understanding to a common understanding. And 3. Enterprise architecture supports long-term usability and reuse of the achieved results. Based on this understanding, it was recommended that the benefits of enterprise architecture shall be clearly pointed out, shall be defined in a way that they can be measured, and shall be recognized as decisive success factors by all stakeholders. In addition, the major benefits of enterprise architecture as identified in TOGAF have been discussed in detail. 1. More efficient business processes. 2. More efficient IT processes. 3. Protection of investments, existing as well as future investments. And 4. More efficient procurement processes. Finally, it shall be understood that enterprise architecture is for most organizations not a business on itself. It should be also understood that the added values discussed in the video are commonly accepted examples only, meaning that each enterprise needs to identify and weight the desired benefits before using enterprise architecture as an appropriate tool to achieve the benefits. Based on the understanding on added value and benefits of enterprise architecture, the final video in the series will discuss the added values of enterprise architecture frameworks. I hope you liked the content provided in this video and you are looking forward to seeing the next one.